do you think about not only possible trading Romo at the end of the year, but also Dez Bryant? Because think about it, you don't have the problems of having to answer questions all the time about did he make it to meetings on time? Is he complaining about the ball? Are you worried about not getting Dez the ball a lot? Are you calling plays for Dez? Why isn't he as productive as he was with Tony? You have a young team right now that you can build around your running back, around your quarterback, in which exciting things are happening for this football team right now.
Donovan, strong words there. So you think, should the team trade Dez and Romo?
Well, I think at this particular point, just talk about Tony Romo. At this particular point, he hasn't been healthy over the last 4 or 5 seasons. And the back injury is a problem. The shoulder injury is a problem. Now you have a young guy that can play from the pocket as well as outside the pocket, and his leadership skills stand alone. And I love what I'm seeing from Ezekiel Elliott. The offensive line is stable. Terrence Williams all of a sudden is looking like a solid receiver. You got Butler catching passes. Jason Witten is being a big key for them. But the thing about when you have a young quarterback, he always has something to fall back on, a security blanket. He has Jason Witten, but he also has Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley is a guy who didn't even think he would want to play football anymore. They allowed him time away to get his mind back together, and he came back, and look what he's been doing. So this is the thing about Tony Romo. Tony Romo, you know what he's capable of doing, but he hasn't been successful over the last 5 to 7 years to take you where you need to go. And then Dez Bryant, how do you miss treatments and how do you miss a meeting with a doctor to find out what's really going on with you because you're afraid of hearing bad news? Why is it that all of a sudden we're hearing that you've missed 40 times in meetings or coming to the facility when everyone is expected? When things begin to get leaked out, that means there are a lot of thoughts going on right now upstairs in management, meaning if they decide to trade you, this is why we're trading him. But you already have a young nucleus. You have a team that everybody seems to rally behind Dak Prescott. And that's what football is all about. Football is about chemistry. Football is about timing. Football is about what can you do to help us win. And at this particular point, if they trade Romo, get some good picks, if they trade Dez and get a solid wide receiver, young wide receiver that they can continue to build, that three-headed monster that we see Troy Aikman be successful with, you might be able to have it with Dak Prescott.
Donovan McNabb. We go back a long way.
Mm-hmm.
You know when I think you're insane, I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you that now. Dez,
because I know you like Dez.
Dez, absolutely.
There with the gold chain and the X.
That too, but the brother can play.
He can play.
I am allergic to dudes that can't play. You know that.
And distractions.
Well, listen. I'm not, you know me, you and I have debated this.
That's why I threw the distractions in there.
The distractions is not something that I always place that big of a deal on. You're right in terms of your critique of this. You weren't wrong about anything that you said. My point is this. Athletes are hard to find. Studs are hard to find. You know that better than anybody. So if you got a stud like Dez, by the way, that guy that was Dez Bryant that was a bit problematic, that's usually when the Dallas Cowboys are losing. When the Dallas Cowboys are winning, and they're in a position right now, they have never been in the career of Dez Bryant or in recent memory for the Dallas Cowboys in terms of having 2 young studs and a Dak Prescott and a Ezekiel Elliott. You talking about moving Dez? Please. Romo, yes, after the season is over. Yes, no problem with that.
Wrong.
But no problem with that after the season.
Right, after the season.
But Dez?
Yeah.
Dez, I'm not letting go of Dez. No way.
Well, see, this is the thing why I say Dez, because right now, Dez hasn't been out there in the last couple of weeks, and they've been very successful. It seems that we haven't had any drama with Dez coming back.
What's drama?
Okay, yeah, but when you have a nucleus, a core nucleus of veterans, yeah, you can handle the drama. But they have a young team. The team that they have, they haven't seen Tony Romo do great things besides what he did the MVP type season when they end up losing to Green Bay. But they haven't seen over the period of time what Tony has been able to do. With Dez Bryant, yeah, he's in the locker room. He's probably the energetic guy getting everybody pumped up. Guys are following him. But yet still, Dez hasn't been out there to help them out on the football field.
I can't listen to this foolishness anymore from the two of you.
It's a matter of time before Odell blows up over there.
First of all, Donovan McNabb, you and I go back a long way in terms of me cursing your name as I watch you on television.
You're not the first or the last.
I hate what you used to do to my Giants. But you're both so wrong about this. First, let's take one at a time. Tony Romo. The Dallas Cowboys had a problem. They didn't have a backup quarterback. It cost them their season last year because I felt going into the year they were Super Bowl contenders if the defense could do what they're doing now, bend but don't break,
right,
given that offensive line and all the skills positions. hey, can maybe a backup quarterback tread water? Just keep your head
But
above,
how long are you going to have
water.
a backup quarterback till he's, what, 40?
Just keep your head above water until Romo gets back? The answer was no, because they didn't have one. They draft Dak. They thought maybe they had one. Now, the answer is, the solution is, they have a backup quarterback. It's just not the guy you thought it was.
Right.
The backup is Romo. Why do you have to keep him as the backup? First of all, imagine what the Steelers would do right now if they had Tony Romo on the bench, how happy they'd be. Secondly, you can't get any draft picks for Romo. He can't be a starter for another team because his health is unreliable, given his back injury and age. But he's excellent when healthy. You know what that is? That's an overpaid but excellent backup quarterback. Don't get it bent. Don't get it twisted because he's the star name and he's got the contract. He's the solution on the bench for the Cowboys. Why would you then trade him and create the problem you just had?
Well, it seems that Bill Belichick was smart enough to do something with Drew Bledsoe when he went with the guy no one expected to be the backup quarterback in Tom Brady. And look what that's done for them. Not saying that could happen with Dak Prescott, but this particular point, you got to step out. Jason Garrett's going to have to step out and show us the man he is. I don't need to hear Jerry Jones telling us what the next step is. I need Jason Garrett to step out and say, you know what, we're going forward with Dak Prescott.
You and I, owe our national television audience an opportunity to have this conversation, getting back to the distractions. Because you once had a teammate named Terrell Owens, who clearly was a distraction. My argument, however, was he's the best receiver you ever had. Outside of Brian Westbrook, who you utilize in so many ways.
He's a running back.
You know, he's a running back, but I'm just saying, you know, he used to catch a lot of passes for you, too. What I'm saying to you is this. A distraction may be one thing, but at the same time, if it elevates your stature as a franchise, as a team, because of the multitude of weapons you have, does that not supersede it? Does that not supersede the distraction?
For the time being.
Yeah.
But for a long-term, for a quarterback, it's going to become a problem because you know, just like I do, what it does to the locker room.
Yes, I do.
I mean, right now, it's nice in New York. For the Giants, but it's going to split up the locker room with Odell and Eli.
Well, can't you wait? I mean, the Dallas Cowboys haven't won since 1995. They haven't won in 22 years.
We want to wait 5 years and they don't make the playoffs, and then we talk about, well, maybe they should have.
No. I'm talking about if you're Dallas and you're flowing right now and you're flowing in this direction for the first time in Lord knows how long, and you're looking at a level of consistency that could potentially kick in to your benefit, why disrupt that? Because you're worried about how he's going to act?
Well, I didn't say trade him right now. I said wait till the end of the year. So this now gives Dez a chance to get back out on the football field and show us what he can do.
You're wrong about Romo because you can't get anything for him and because he can back up a QB.
I'm not sure you can't get anything. I'm not sure you can't get anything for Romo. I'm not sure you can.
I'm not sure that either. Would you rather have
one 7th-round pick?
Well, would you rather have Tony Romo or Jay Cutler on your team?
How about that?
Tony Romo.
Thank you.
Then you get something more.
You can get something more.
No, because the Bears, who are looking to turn the page at quarterback, aren't about to bring in an injury-prone guy at $20 million a year. The job of a GM in the NFL is just price talent. And if you can't rely on a guy to be there all year, you're not going to hand a 35-year-old plus guy with a back injury.
My issue with you is you stuck on this Tony Romo thing.
You stuck on Tony Romo.
Tony Romo is irrelevant right now. The Des Bryant, first of all, the Des Bryant angle is far more important to me.
Incorrect. There are two things. One, Romo should stay on the bench as the backup. You can't trade him. Two, you got to trade Dez because you're going to get a lot for him. Dez has trade value.
But why trade him if he could be the stud for you, who produces for you, who gives you an additional weapon with Dak Prescott? Let's keep him on. Hold on, y'all. Let's keep this in mind, D.
I mean, I see it. You see it.
Well, listen. I don't. Here's the deal.
They're winning without him.
Dak Prescott. The Dallas Cowboys have the #2 rushing attack in the NFL.
True.
Yes,
and they have a top 5 rated quarterback in QB rating as well.
QB rating, yes, but their passing attack isn't considered to be ultra formidable. Throwing in between the #2 of Beasley or Jason Witten. I'm just saying, having Dez outside the numbers. Come on now. I mean, what are y'all talking about here?
Hey, Dak Prescott threw a nice touchdown outside the numbers.
The dead clock is right twice a day, man. Come on, man.
Hey, however it works.
Dez Bryant's good on any team, including the Cowboys. But if you can win without him and you have a young nucleus and no problems, and Donovan's right, there are distractions and starting to get leaked into the press, and you can get something good for Dez, trade him. Can't get anything for Romo, keep him on the bench.
Romo, yeah.
Distraction.
You know it.
We got to talk.
You know it.
We got to talk. We're going to
know it.
revisit this conversation. We're going to revisit this conversation, Donovan.
good.
Distractions?
Absolutely.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Come on now.
You know it like I do.
Donovan here speaking some sense for us. Appreciate the
Just trying to
insight.
help out.
Thank you.
I'm glad I can help.
He's
We
always
appreciate
we've been going through this
Come
for
back.
Put on a
years.
jacket and tie next
We've
time.
been
Y'all
going
gotta
through
let me
this.
know when I'm coming
Ahead of
on.
time.
It's not
Come
your
back
fault.
and join us
It's
again.
Watch you whenever we
Everybody.
can get you.
Yeah,
I know
Donovan.
you'll
How are you
know
going
how
to
to
be in
win time
Bristol
next
and
time.
not come by here?
Thank you.
Hope to see you again. All right.
Distraction.
Coming
we
up
will
next.
talk about this again.
Very well done.
No applause. No. They got to earn their stripes. By the way,
What?
we got to I need to see some of the ladies out there in these videos. Remember,
Yes.
we're going to have a male and a female
Yes,
winner. So I need to
females,
see some
stand up.
ladies up in there as well.
We know we've got viewers.
All right.
We want to see from them. I'm with
Well,
you. Thank
listen.
you for calling that out. Meanwhile, Richard Sherman's outburst on the sideline, Odell Beckham's penalty for taking his helmet off, and Cam Newton's Super Bowl-esque press conference. We asked you guys to vote on Twitter. Which one did you have the biggest problem with? And the results are in. Cam, 41%, Sherm, 34%, OBJ, 25%. Do you agree, Stephen A?
Of course I don't. I mean, they're obviously agreeing with Max, and, our viewers are, some of our viewers are entitled to be ignorant from time to time, and this is one of those situations. They're wrong. I mean, the fact of the matter is that I don't really have much of a problem with what happened with Cam yesterday. Not yesterday. I just don't.
Well, they're wrong, but not because of that. I did have a problem with what Cam did and what Odell did, because he actually cost field. That's a stupid rule in the NFL that a celebration or whatever can cost you field position. It's a really stupid rule. Nevertheless, it is one. Everyone knows it, and Odell broke it and could have cost his team. Sherman outburst ahead of Odell's. Sherman is upset
surprised
because
by
of
that.
miscommunication and trying to get things together. Odell takes off his helmet and gets the team penalized in a close game that they could have lost. I think Odell's was worse than Sherman.
I just look at Cam, and I think that Cam is bringing attention to the Carolina Panthers and their ineptitude in the offseason. They were feeling themselves with the reigning NFC champions. We can afford to be a bit laissez-faire and a bit arrogant in that regard, and I think that Cam Newton is frustrated having to eat up all the attention that comes his way
Comes with the
because
territory.
of it. Well,
He's the face of the franchise. He was very nearly and may still be the face of the entire league, the face of the NFL. And when the people want to see when the going gets bad, can you take the heat?
I can
you
understand that.
absorb it and not deflect
I can
it?
respect that, and in theory, you're absolutely not wrong. But I don't believe that because you're paid, it gives organizations the license to lean on you and cover themselves. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
I don't believe that management for the Carolina Panthers, and to a lesser degree, Ron Rivera, should get to hide behind the spotlight being on Cam Newton when that offense is not the problem. Excuse me.
Two different
let me
things.
but let me say this
Two
to you.
different things.
Cam Newton's a leader, no doubt. Is Kuechly a leader?
Yep.
What's wrong with that defense? Because it ain't the offense that's the problem with the team.
But
Thomas Davis, I love Thomas Davis. He's big time. And him and Kuechly are playing, by the way. But shouldn't they be made to answer for their defense?
Everyone knows the quarterback is the biggest star on the team. They're the one who's going to have to talk. They're the one who's going to have to say how great everyone else is when it's good and how bad they are when it's bad, whether it's true or not. This is the way it's always been done, and it seems to work for the great ones. And if Cam wants to do it another way, fine. But then you got to do it while you're winning. This can't come out just in bad times. This has to come out in good times, too. This is only coming out in bad times.
Well, it's going to come out in bad times in terms of the organization leaving you hanging. When you know that the organization did what it's supposed to do and it's on you, then you have a valid point. But when you have to sit there and answer questions that are above your pay grade, when you have to sit up there and talk for a team that literally leaves you hanging because they don't sit up there and keep a Super Bowl championship contender intact, I think, and listen, I don't find anything extreme about what he did yesterday. That's the key that I'm saying here.
If the blogs all came to you and said, Stephen A., what's it feel like to get whooped up on by Max all day, every day? Would you just not answer? No comment? Would you storm off?
I absolutely.
Or would you take it?
I absolutely would, because I would have nothing to say. I would literally look at them and say, what the hell are you talking about? That's never happened. That's a very ignorant question on your part to sit there and think that I lose to Max Kellerman when I wax his behind every single day.
That's a diluted answer, but it's an answer.
I would sit up there and say that.
You
That's
wouldn't
what
just
I would
storm
say.
off and pout.
Oh, no. I wouldn't pout, but I would storm off. Oh, let me tell you something right now. Ask people who run into me. They come up to me at the game. You got to come up to me with the right tone. You better not be disrespectful. And depending on your question, if it's a stupid question, I have walked by people.
That's a highly intelligent question.
I have walked by people and have completely ignored them. Ask them. Ask them. That's why people are very reluctant to approach me, because they know I might ignore you or I might cuss you out. Pick your choice. Pick Make your choice. I don't care.
lesser of two
I really.
evils.
I
If
said it on Jimmy Kimmel.
ESPN set up a press conference to address the media,
I'd be like
and
this.
they were asking you when you said next question, no, you wouldn't.
No, it depends on the question. If somebody asked me a dumb question,
How do you
I'd
lose
be
every
like,
debate to Max every day?
Yolanda
That's a smart
Genovese,
question.
my grandmother, happy 90th birthday. I
birthday,
love you
grandma.
so much,
Yolanda's
Graham.
happy birthday.